Hey, this is Kenny with Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my video. As always, please like and subscribe. I sincerely appreciate that. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Hit that thumbs up button. All those help out my channel analytics. In this video, I'm going to review 3 jazz albums. Actually, one's on CD. One's actually very unique and different. That's going to be the last one. And also, at the end of the video, I'm going to give a very brief commentary on a review on this Aretha Franklin Now album that was reissued as part of the Atlantic Records 75th Anniversary Series in collaboration with Analogue Productions. This 45 RPM version of the record. I'm giving my opinion in comparison to an original pressing. Also, before I get to my video, I just want to thank one of my viewers. He goes by Paul Gies. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's spelled Giess. Paul Gies Music is what he goes by. He left a PayPal donation via the PayPal donation link. I just want to thank him for that. And he had a question. And the question was, do you receive requests for reviews? And the answer is yes, as long as it fits the theme of my channel, number one. And number two, I have it in my collection, because it's not in my collection, I can't review it. So thank you very much for your PayPal donation. All those donations go to help me purchase records to review on my channel. Again, there's a PayPal donation link in the description below. I'm going to start with reviewing 2 albums from the Blue Note Tone Poet series. Now, these 2 albums are not Blue Note records, believe it or not. This one, Chick Corea, Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. Now, I received this album the same day I received my UHQRs for Art Pepper and Sonny Rollins, but I thought I'd review it in this video. This was issued on the Solid State record label originally in 1968. I will show you the inside, or actually the cover and the inside of the gatefold. Front of the cover. Again, it was originally issued in 1968 on the Solid State record label. I have a few Solid State records sprinkled throughout my collection here and there. Inside of a nice gatefold. Very nice picture up front with Chick Corea. This album features Chick Corea on piano, a trio by the way, Chick Corea on piano, Miroslav Vitos acoustic bass, Roy Haynes drums. And this is, again, an all acoustic set by Chick Corea, this album. I should show you the record label as well. Replicated greatly on the Tone Poet series, Solid State label. Like I said, I think you have some of these Solid State records sprinkled throughout my collection here and there. But this one is a great acoustic jazz album, especially the first song on side 1 is called Steps, What Was. Steps, What Was. Show you the song listing. Hope it's coming out on the video. And I thoroughly enjoyed side 1 a little bit better than side 2. In this record, you have Chick Corea. His piano is in the middle of the soundstage. The drums, Roy Haynes on drums in the left speaker. And Miroslav Vitos, please give me I'm mispronouncing his name. I know he's famous guy. I have a lot of them. His records, or he's a sideman on a lot of records in my collection. He was on acoustic bass in the right speaker. And again, if I were to recommend somebody who listens to this album, I would listen to the first song first. Again, it's called Steps, What Was. And the play of Chick Corea in the middle of the soundstage is outstanding. So are the drums of Roy Haynes in the left speaker. The drums were recorded exceptionally well on that particular piece, that particular song called Steps, What Was. And the piano in the middle of the soundstage is kind of wide and expansive. Side 2 is good as well, but I just enjoyed side 1 a bit better. I think I would say side 2, you know, there are some nice solos by, I think on the first song on side 1, or side 2 I should say, Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. There was a very nice Miroslav Vitos acoustic bass solo on that particular song. And I think he might solo well on a Matrix. I'm not sure. He's either Matrix or Steps What Was. He has a very nice solo on that song. And there's a nice solo, I mean drum solo on the first song on side one, Steps What Was. A very nice drum solo. And like I said, the drums were recorded very well. So was the piano. This performance is a very nice acoustic jazz performance. If I were to critique this album, this trio plays exceptionally well together. They're intertwined beautifully in a jazz realm, an acoustic jazz realm. What a nice performance. Again, I enjoyed side one, and particularly song one better, but if I were to judge this album, I'm going to start with sound first. It was recorded well, especially side one. Side two, you hear a little bit of the surface noise in the original master tapes because there are more quiet moments on side two. For example, I think it's the second song on side two called Now He Beats the Drum, Now He Stops. I believe that's a song where Chick Corea has an extended solo, piano solo, and you hear some tape hiss noise on that solo. That's fine with me if it's in the recording, it's in the recording. You don't want to mess with that. But you do hear some surface noise, tape noise, I should say, on sections or parts of side two. I just thought side one, especially song one, was recorded better than side two. So if I'm judging the sound, being honest, I give the sound probably at like an 8.75, between an 8.5 and an 8.75. The performance is a stone cold 9 because it's a very nice acoustic performance by Chick Corea on piano, Miroslav Vitos acoustic bass, Roy Haynes drums. A very nice acoustic album that if you're not familiar with this album, check it out on YouTube, especially the first song on side one. What a great performance that was. And it was a very nice issue by the Tone Ports to do something other than, they do other record labels other than Blue Note. And this one is the same thing. This one is part of the Blue Note Tone Poet series, but it was issued on Capitol Records. This is an album from a baritone saxophone player called Serge Chaloff. Hope I'm not mispronouncing his name. And this is the only record I have by this wonderful baritone sax player. The name of the album is called Blue Surge. This is a mono record. This is a mono record. It was originally released in 1956, and this album features Serge Chaloff on baritone saxophone, Sonny Clark piano, Joe Jones drums, Leroy Vinegar bass. And if you're into mid-50s jazz, you need to check this one out. It's a stunning performance, almost like a lesson in baritone saxophone by Serge Chaloff. And I would recommend the song I would recommend listening to first on this album is called The Goof and I. The Goof and I, because there's a very nice solos by Serge Chaloff on baritone saxophone and Joe Jones drums. That song is sensationally outstanding. And Chaloff's play throughout this album is really sensational on this album. If you're in that mid-50s jazz, which I like all forms of jazz, but it's a very nice example of the talent of this very great baritone saxophone player, Serge Chaloff. It's called Blue Surge, originally issued in 1956. Is a Tone Poet reissue version of it, mastered by Kevin Gray. Serge Chaloff had an interesting career. He didn't live that long. He passed away at a very young age, at the age of 33. I know one of his inspirations was Charlie Parker. I think he almost like it was an inspiration for his saxophone playing, Serge Chaloff. And he played in several high profile big bands like the Woody Herman Big Band and the Jimmy Dorsey Big Band. Had a very nice career during his unfortunate brief life. I know he suffered from addiction issues during his brief life, and he also had cancer. I believe that affected his back, I believe. Unfortunately passed away at the age of 33, but check this album out. If you like mid-50s jazz, it might be worth your investment in time. That album is a mono album, And the mono soundstage is not expansive as some of the better mono albums I've heard, but it sounds very nice nonetheless. It was recorded exceptionally well with great detail and dynamics represented in that mono soundstage nonetheless, because there's great detail in the bass, the drums, and the saxophone. You can really hear Serge Chaloff hit those lower notes and all registers of that saxophone exceptionally well. Like I said, it's a master class in baritone saxophone, in my opinion. I give the performance a 9, the sound a 9 as well. What a great performance it was. The next one I'm going to review is on CD. Now, this one is different. This is from an artist. His name is Ahmed Abdul-Malik. The name of the CD is called East Meets West. This was recorded in 1959, the album was, and released in 1960. This is a fusion album, but not what you think. This is a fusion album of Middle Eastern music and jazz. Ahmed Abdul-Malik, who played an instrument, I believe you call it an oud. He played an oud, and he also was a bass player. He played with a lot of famous musicians over the years like Art Blakey, Earl Hines, Thelonious Monk, and several others during his career. And he was highly influenced by Middle Eastern music and North African music, and he incorporated those musical forms into his jazz. And this one includes, like I said, is a fusion of Middle Eastern music and jazz. And there are some famous musicians of note on this CD. On 3 tracks you have Lee Morgan, and on 3 tracks you have Johnny Griffin. And you also have Benny Golson, I think, playing on all tracks. But the tracks that include Johnny Griffin and Lee Morgan are tracks 1, tracks 2, and tracks 5. Track 1 is called, at least the English translation is called The Night. Track 2 is called Don't Cry. And track 5 is called Listen. Those are the tracks, again, that includes Lee Morgan on trumpet and Johnny Griffin on tenor saxophone. And those are the best tracks on this CD. Now, you have to give the songs, those 3 songs, time to mature, because it starts off in a very strong Middle Eastern theme, and it takes a minute to get into the jazz grooves of those songs. But those 3 songs, tracks 1, 2, and 5, are the ones I recommend on this CD. Some of them are just strict Middle Eastern music, and some of you who are not into Middle Eastern music may not like those tracks, but the tracks that are infused with jazz, tracks 1, 2, and 5, are quite great in my opinion. But like I said, give the tracks time to mature and grow into the jazz thing. It's a very nice concept by Ahmed Abdul-Malik. He was very open-minded about world music and incorporating it in his albums, in particular Middle Eastern music and North African music. Check this out on YouTube, tracks 1, 2, and 5. I'm going to give the performance an 8. The sound suffers. For a living stereo, RCA living stereo album, the sound stage is too narrow for me, and it lacks in terms of dynamics and detail. So I'm going to give the sound a 7. I'm being generous when I give it a 7. But it's something different I think you should check out. The next album I'm going to briefly mention, very briefly, is a non-jazz album. It's Aretha Franklin Now. This was issued as part of the Atlantic Anniversary 75 series in a collaboration with Analogue Productions. Again, this is a 2 LP 45 RPM version of the album, and I'm going to give my opinion in terms of how this sounds compared to an original pressing. Before I do that, I'll show you the back and front of the cover inside of the gatefold. It's the front and cover of beautiful Aretha Franklin. She's as far as I'm concerned, she's the greatest female singer who ever lived. Leave your comments in the comments section below about that. Nice pictures of the recording session. And I believe this cost $65. Again, this is a 2 LP 45 RPM version of the album. It is my OG cover. When I listen to this album, again, this is going to be a very brief opinion on this reissue. First of all, I didn't think the original album was not exactly the best recording in the world to begin with. I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as an audiophile record. Let's get that out of the way. But the 45 RPM version of the album, especially when I'll show you the song listing. I didn't even do that. Sorry if it's not coming out on the video. My favorite tracks on this album just happen to be the first two tracks, called Think. And then I Say a Little Prayer. The Say a Little Prayer was a great Hal David, Burt Bacharach song. And Say a Little Prayer. And when you listen to the songs in this album, the 45 RPM version of the album extracts more detail. If you listen to the drums in the right speaker, Aretha Franklin's voice in the middle of the soundstage, the piano, and the backup singers in the left speaker, especially on the track I Say a Little Prayer, the 45 RPM version of the album extracts more detail and nuances, intimate detail, dynamics. You know, it covers the frequency range better in more detail than the OG version does. It is a little bit more of a pleasurable listening experience because of that. For example, the cymbal hits in the right speaker, Aretha Franklin's voice, and like I said, the backup singers on the song I Say a Little Prayer in the left speaker are a little bit more dynamic and clear. You know, it really extracts a little bit more from the analog master tapes than the OG pressing. Again, this cost $65. I think it was worth the price of admission because I'm a huge Aretha Franklin fan. However, I think there was a greater improvement on the Killing Me Softly album by Analogue Productions, Acoustic Sounds, part of their 75th anniversary series. I think the Killing Me Softly album sounded better. It sounds better than the Aretha Franklin Now album, but I think the Killing Me Softly album was recorded better. It was recorded a few, maybe like 5 years after the Aretha Franklin Now album. But this sounds quite nice in the 45 RPM format because it extracts more detail than the 33 1/3 version cannot. This is a 180 gram vinyl. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that 45 RPM record. So I'm gonna give the sound probably somewhere between 8.75 and 9. Not because Analogue Productions Acoustic Sounds version is lacking. It just, the original album wasn't the best audiophile recording in the world. That's the reason why. So I give the sound between 8.75 and 9. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd say a 9 in sound. Performance is 10 because I love Aretha Franklin. If you have any of those sources, any of those albums, please leave your comments in the comment section below. Thank you very much for viewing my video. Please like and subscribe. God bless, strong love, and more important than the music, let's keep the peace worldwide.